That transition from being just a member of the community into becoming a celebrity of the community, what's that like?
You use social media a lot less, especially Reddit. Like that sounds really funny, but especially when you're a big figure, you tend to step away from the community. Honestly, I never really considered myself to be a celebrity. And at this point, if people were asking me if I was famous in the scene, I always respond, it's like pseudo famous. Like just how there's like A-list actors and stuff like that. I'd be like an F-list actor, right? And so like I'm not even approaching the boundaries of being like stardom. I'm just like halfway there. I'd be in some weird quasi Twilight Zone dimension where I'm like maybe kind of there, but like I don't really. It's not a straight trajectory. And so, but if you're talking about how it feels to be like more popular and to the level where I could be considered famous, it's more along the lines of just everything you do is kind of very deeply scrutinized. And so if you ever make a bad play, everyone approaches you. And one of the biggest things actually was that when I was becoming, when I was like one of the biggest personalities in the scene, like I would think I was like top 5, top 4 in at least North American LCS. It was a big problem because people would start using that as like an attack against me. Like if I played poorly, they'd be like, why is this person on the team? He's only on the team because he's so popular, kind of stuff. Like, and so it got to the point where like the same people that backed me, well, I shouldn't say that. I should say that as your fan base grows, you always have a percentage of your demographic that's just like ready to turn on you. And it's a very small percentage. Like it's obviously like the very, very bottom of like the 1%. But as I get really big, Twitter followers went from like 2,000 to 320,000 right now. You tend to find more, you have like more comments being like, you suck, all this kind of stuff that was like maybe easier to handle before, but it just felt like sometimes the attacks come out of nowhere just because you're popular.
Well, you're popular enough to be able to sell out. Why haven't you sold out, and what does selling out mean to you?
Oh, that's a weird question. I would say that to some degree I have sold out, but because I've done product placement ads in the past, both on my YouTube and on my stream. But a lot of times I try to keep it to where it's something that's very well aligned with me. Either I enjoy the thing immensely. So like for instance, I wanted to go to All Stars, and I went to All Stars Barcelona with Niche for Acer. And it was just an opportunity that came up, and like I wanted to see what Spain was about, and I think it really well aligned with like the people I was with. And maybe the stuff that didn't align as well was when I did activations for other games such as MXM, which is Master X Master. I did activation on stream, and so it's very weird to see me play non-league related games. However, I thought that it still kind of flowed well. And in games where the alignment isn't there, I try to create alignment. So for instance, Discord, I did YouTube ad. I did a lot of skits in terms of ads. Like I did we parodied the skit which had like "This Is Your Brain," the drug parody ad from really long time ago, and like I just like took the thing you put on the stove, a pan, and just like hit the egg on my countertop and like dropped in. It was like really messy, all done in one take kind of stuff. But it was more along the lines of like, if I do want to create content like that, I think it's cool that you're gonna come into the period of time where you need to make money to be able to support yourself in some way, shape, or form. But you also want to be able to make that kind of money in a way that aligns well with what you want to do. And so I think I'm approaching that area faster than not, because I've passed up over $1 million worth of sponsorship money, I think, at this point. Like I've passed up a lot of money, and so I have no regrets about it. Like I'm very happy in my current direction of what I'm doing.
What are you enjoying right now, and what are you looking forward to in the next couple of months?
So I enjoy being a streamer. I think the hours are really long, and I enjoy making the two shows I have, BTR and PLT. I think becoming a content creator was more enjoyable than I expected. You know, I think if you were to ask me rate the best things I've had in my life, I would always put pro play as being number one. It's something that I just feel like I had a really big passion for, and it brought some of the greatest highs and greatest lows of my existence, my life. Afterwards, I would say content creation. I tend to think of it very, very highly, and then coaching and like interviewing would be below that. And not because it's that bad, but because like I just like the other two that much more. And so at the moment, like I really enjoy doing all the shows. I like to see the growth on everything that I do, and I'm really looking forward to. We're moving into a content creation house soon with an on-site production crew, as well as working with a lot of people in the scene there. And so I think that the scene's really missing content to where collaborative content, and I think that we could really blow it up in that regard. And so I'm making a leap of faith in being able to do something like this. The lease accepted us a week ago, and we're looking to move and get stuff started very, very soon. And so I hope we don't have a lot of time to make this happen. Like I would say like we have maybe like less than a year to see if it works out, but we're going to hit the ground running and see how it works.
How much earning potential is there for personalities compared to pro players?
Oh, well, it's a lot closer now. So when I played, I essentially left Dignitas in the red almost. Like I didn't make a lot of money. Like if I don't necessarily even know if it was a fault of the organization. It's more along the lines of just like no one paid well back then. And so I remember that I could stream for literally a week and I could stream for an entire month and make more money than I would in 2 or 3, or maybe I'd make more money than I would make like in 2 to 5 months. And so there really wasn't an incentive to be a pro player back then. If you're looking at strictly financial, but like I didn't play pro for financial reasons. Like if I did, I would have done something else. I think at the moment, when I switched to content creation, is about a year after, actually maybe like 6 months after, is about the time where all the salaries in North America went up. If the average salary was you're getting paid, I think 40 grand, 40, 50 grand was the average in LCS. It doubled because of all the investment, all this stuff. So at the moment, currently, the average salary is 6 figures and up. And that wasn't usually the case. And so I think at the moment it's profitable or financially reasonable to become a pro player, but you could still make more money being a content creator. Yeah, it's true, and to certain levels, and you can make even more money than that depending on how much you're willing to sell out, or how much you're willing to just take sponsorships.
Just like wearing, brands T-shirts on camera.
Brands are smarter than that, right? Like they want unique activations.
Blitz Esports. I was joking.
I was gonna be I was gonna say brands are smarter than that. Usually, they want like unique activations and stuff like that. Stuff that actually takes effort from the content creator, which is what they should want, right? But it's just up to them if they want to do it that way. I think that streaming is a very unique platform that professional player, ex-professional players, professional players, and like personalities can use to platform off themselves, and so is YouTube. But sometimes what's most successful in both platforms is something that like you can't do, because especially if you want to be a league streamer at the moment, I think it's very oversaturated, because if you want to be, your competition is very fierce. You want to be a personality streamer, so you gotta be funnier than PewDiePie, which is the #1 streamer on Twitch at the moment, I think. So you want to be like an educational streamer. You gotta be better than, at the very least, me and Crepo, right, and Valkyrin, who do educational streams. And so if you're not a challenger or like at least high masters, and a lot of that is, if you want to be like a stream that just shows good play, you gotta be better than the pro players, which you're not. Like if you're just starting to stream, there's no way you're better than the pro players. And so what does that leave you with? Like maybe one trick streams, people who just play like Riven or Gameplank or Annie or something like that, or it leaves you with like trying to compete with a lot of the other people. And so I'd say like the market's fairly oversaturated in terms of league streamers, but you still can stand out. It's just more difficult now. I think the industry itself is very interesting at the moment. We have a lot of these investors coming in, huge investors coming in for all these teams, throwing millions of dollars in at essentially every team except for 1 or 2 is backed by financial investors. And everyone's kind of wondering when the bubble is going to pop. I don't necessarily know if it will. Like, I think that we're approaching franchising in the LCS. LCS just signed like a big deal with MLB for streaming rights, and I think that all the content in general is gonna get better over time. I think that right now, a lot of people always ask me the question, how do I get better? Or how do I get into the scene? Like, how do I do stuff? I used to always respond, and this was terrible, but I used to always respond, how much are you willing to be underpaid for your work? Because at some level of amount, approaching the zero value, you will find work in the industry. If you want to work for a team for a $0 amount, they will let you do it. But at the moment, I think that right now, if you want to do something in the scene, that there are a lot of positions still open for qualified people. And so, especially in terms of content creation, something that I specialize in. Well, I specialize in the facet of it. I think that a lot of times people tend to see all the people that are doing big things, or I would say easy things, and think that there's no room for them. I talk about oversaturation in the league streamer section, but that's only for streams in general. I think that there's still a wide variety of stuff that you're able to do in terms of other forms of content. I think that a lot of times people just give up on it. I think everything from like the music side of things to like the skit side of things to just the educational side of things, everything has potential to be able to be more. And so I feel like if you want to be a future content creator in the scene, there are avenues for doing stuff if you're passionate about it. All it takes is for you to work hard. That's the thing that I've learned over. I'm practically in my old age at the moment in this scene. At 27, I am one of the oldest people around. I'm in my grave, digging in myself. But if there's one thing I've learned over the years, it's that hard work means everything. Sure, you may get situations where you get lucky breaks, but it only really means something if you work hard when you get it. And if you don't, then the problem isn't on like the situation or the industry. The problem is a personal problem.